So 2020, that really happened, huh? And that really just messed up everything. Today we're going to talk about interviews again. Recently I made a video about 10 interview strategies for Oxford University, and a man who's applying for Oxford, I believe, reached out and asked whether the advice was different now that most, if not all, interviews are online due to COVID. So I thought it might be worth, in addition to the comment that I left, it might be worth making a quick video and just talking about how you might want to prepare for an online interview, because that is a little bit different. So here's a few things to keep in mind. Now, my background, obviously, I've been an educational consultant, getting people into Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, Yale for years now. Got myself in, got many people in, got to get thanks every day from people who get into PhD programs for every subject. So I'm pretty good at what I do, and most of what I do is online. And I was working online before all this kicked off, and I was very, very comfortable with it. So it's quite interesting to see everybody suddenly have to start working online and navigate it and negotiate it. And for many years, people just didn't really get what I did. I'd say, oh, I work online. And people were like, how do you work online? Well, it's actually not that hard. So here's some tips from me. I've done many interviews online. I've run mock interviews with my consulting clients. And this is what my advice for you would be if you've got an online interview. This is really basic advice, and if you're smart, you probably already figured this stuff out, but it's worth reiterating and just chatting about it and just confirming that you do know the right thing to do. The first thing and the most important thing is to make sure your computer and your camera is well set up. A lot of people don't realize this, but how you angle the camera makes all the difference. Like you could look really, really smart and well kept and in good shape, not that any of that particularly matters, but you could look good, but the camera will make you look bad, especially if you're looking down on the camera. That makes everybody look bad. Everybody could benefit from elevating their computer and then angling it so the camera is facing down on them a little bit. It makes you look slimmer. It makes you, because sometimes the camera puts pounds on your face, it just makes you look a bit more presentable. So make sure you've got your camera set up. So you might want to invest in a sort of extendable, like a standing desk type thing, or a desk, what do you call it? I can't remember what you call it. I used to have one, but you can get it so that it elevates and then you look down. That would be really beneficial to make sure the camera's good. Next, you might want to make sure that your background is really good. I mean, some would be better at this than others, but a lot of people, I've seen some terrible backgrounds on Zoom and Skype, and most people, even if you don't have the best house ever, most people can sort out a little corner of their house somewhere where they can make the background look good and interesting. What I'd say is use this to your advantage. When I did the Oxford English interview, they said you have to talk about 7 books in the exam, so we're going to talk to you about them. And luckily my dad told me, bring the books. I was like, really? He was like, yeah, no, bring the books. Actually bring the books with you. And wow, what great advice, because I realized most people didn't do this. I don't know anyone who actually did this, apart from a few people who actually got in. But the books that I wanted to talk about, I stuffed them in a satchel, and when they said, what books are you choosing to talk about? I produced them, and their eyes lit up. You got some props. Now, take advantage of the fact that this is online now. You can have props. Maybe there's a movie poster that you like, or a theatre poster. Maybe you can, if you're doing an English interview, get a bookcase looking nice. Like, if there was a book that I wanted to talk about in interview, I would make sure it was in eye line so they can pick up on it if they like. Another thing you might want to do is sort out what's in your eye line beyond the camera. Now, obviously, it's best just to be natural and not have like notes that you've prepared and memorized. But you might want to just put a few key points that you think, I might forget to say that, but that's really good. Just put it beyond the camera, and as long as you're not obvious about it, you can consult it, and maybe that will give you a little peace of mind. That will ease you a little bit. Sometimes people feel better with a script when they go on camera. In fact, I've been making videos for a while now because I've got a lot of online courses. My ELAT masterclass is almost ready. I've got a personal statement masterclass coming up, and that's revamped for COVID, post-COVID. But when I first started, I had to reshoot my first video course 3 times because I was so nervous, and I really wanted a script. And what I found was having a script, but allowing myself to deviate from it, was way, way more beneficial than either not having a script at all, or sticking rigidly to a script. So have some key points, have some notes, have some things that you want to seed into the conversation. I would take advantage of it, okay? Because you've got to start thinking that this isn't an obstacle now. You've got to start thinking, what benefits does having it online actually entail? And that means you can be more in control of your environment. The most nerve-wracking thing about going to an interview, I think, isn't so much the pressure of them interviewing you. It's more just being out of your comfort zone. I went to the Oxford interview and the tutor was in his own office. office was stacked high with his books, and I'd never been there before. So I was on his territory. So you can be immediately more confident and comfortable by being in your territory. Now, being in your territory is not always a good thing. Sometimes your siblings are screaming in the house. Sometimes your parents are coming in and out. Even the most well-meaning parents can accidentally come in and disturb you. So what I'd say as well, make sure that everybody knows exactly when your interview time is. Make sure you get them on the same page. Try to be persuasive. Try to ask, especially if they're not supportive. Try to figure out a way to be persuasive. And get them to give you some peace and quiet, not just during the designated interview time, but before it as well, because you want to collect yourself and you want to treat it almost like the real thing. You don't want to just go from having dinner with your family and then roll into the interview. Give yourself some space and some time and really get into the zone. What else? Okay, you also want to make sure that your internet connection is fast. Figure out what you need to do to get good internet. All right, maybe you have to buy some data and use your phone just for the interview. Make sure you do it. And there's nothing worse than pixelization. There's nothing worse than the internet connection cutting halfway through. Do a test run. Call a family member from another household on Skype and make sure that it works. Make sure everything is how you need it to be, well ahead of time. Don't scramble, because they'll pick up on the freneticness. And you really do have an opportunity to be in control as much as possible. Another thing, all right, make sure your clothes look good on camera. Now, some clothes can look really smart in person, and some can actually not look that great in person, but look good on camera. So you want to do a little, I don't know, not a photo shoot, but play around. Look at the camera, put on photo booth if you've got a Mac, for example, and look at what different outfits look good. Think about how you want to come across, how you want to seem. This is something that I've struggled with as well. I remember when I first started consulting, one of my business partners who only talked to me online, when we finally met, he went, wow, I didn't realize how big you are. I'm actually really big. I'm 6'3" and I'm about 200 pounds and it's muscle. But on camera, especially when I wear certain clothes, especially when I wear some of my favorite clothes, I look really scrawny. It's quite funny. So people are shocked when they meet me in person, when they've only talked to me online. So is it good to be big for an interview? I don't think it's relevant. What I'm saying is you just want to be smart, make sure everything's crisp, everything looks good, the colours pop in a way that's not distracting, but is elegant on camera. It's we may not like it, we may not like the fact that some people do judge you based on appearance, but it is true. It's part and parcel of everything. A lot of people believe that how you appear on the outside is a manifestation of how you are on the inside. So have a little bit of pride, be clean and tidy, make sure your hair's neat, nails trimmed. Even if you think that you won't pick up on it, you never know. Make sure you control everything you can control. Other than that, just make sure you have some good pre-interview prep. If it was me, I would make sure that I'm well fed that day. I would make sure I'm well rested the night before. I would make sure that I do some breathing exercises. I would make sure I go through the anxiety drills that I mentioned in the previous video. I would make sure that I do some exercise in the morning. So if you've got the interview at 2 p.m, I would be in the gym 9, 10, and I'd be doing cardiovascular exercise that gets me sweaty and gets my heart rate up and gets me breathing heavily. And I'd be doing weightlifting. I would then give myself some nourishment and then try to do some breathing and meditation and relax and get in the zone. Anyway, I hope that helps. Let me know what your experience with online interviews is so far. Let me know if you've got one coming up. And I wish you all the very best luck in the world. Don't worry too much about it. We're all in the same boat. It's all crazy new world, and we're trying to figure it out as we go along. Wish you all the best luck. If you found this video marginally useful, please hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll keep making more videos. Have a lovely day.